It's Kelsey Grammer in a Santa suit. What's not to love? Having said that, Mr. Saint Nick is not the amazing film that I kind of expected it would be. There are things about it that I wasn't happy with, things that I would have wanted more of. But it's not a bad film. It's quite an enjoyable film if I had different expectations. It was actually released in 2002. And this one's directed by Craig Zisk and written by Maryedith Burrell and Debra Frank, and stars, of course, Kelsey Grammer as Nick St. Nicholas. Brilliant name. And his father is the current Santa Claus, and he is getting ready to retire, and Nick should be the next Santa Claus, the 21st Santa Claus. But he doesn't want to do that. He wants to do his own thing, and Nick would rather just live in his own little rich world and do his own thing. So the majority of the film is him just trying to ignore the responsibilities that may inevitably fall on his head, while also looking for a Mrs. Claus. So if he does become Santa, he at least will have a Mrs. Claus. And let's just say he's not the best at picking women. So it's a very character-driven story. There's not much of a narrative to it in terms of being on the edge of your seat, desperate to find out what happens. He does, as I said, look for a Mrs. Claus, so there's some romance here and some really bad choices that lead to some sticky situations. But other than that, it's just him trying to ignore this responsibility. But the more he ignores it, we start to see him embodying classic traits of Santa Claus. So he kind of slowly morphs into Santa. And that's quite interesting, because, well, first of all, you don't know what's going to happen next. Is he going to get the outfit next? Will he get the laugh next? It's a guessing game, and it's quite fun to see what will happen next. And also, Kelsey Grammer, ever the amazing, versatile actor, just is absolutely brilliant at balancing the jolliness of Santa with the grumpiness of Nick, who would rather just do his own thing. And I think that blend is so effective. We do very early on actually get to see Kelsey Grammer in a full Santa suit, not the Santa suit, but a gimmicky one they're using for a TV commercial. And there is a reason why that happens, and it's very entertaining to see Kelsey Grammer dressed up as Santa, because until I discovered this film, that's not something I'd ever think would happen. And I think he suits the role well, and I like it a lot, and I think the casting there was absolutely spot on. However, what I'm not the biggest fan of is the lack of Christmas. Partly because he's trying to avoid this, there is a distinct lack of Christmas happening, and this is also not set completely around Christmas Day. It's quite a... I'm not sure of the exact timeline, but I think it's a good few weeks before, so it's not very festive. Nothing's festive at all. And in fact, yes, it's about 2-3 weeks before Christmas Day. There's no festivities around. Even the other characters, not just Nick, nobody else is being Christmassy or festive. It doesn't feel like a Christmas film, aside from the brief times when we get to see the current Mr. and Mrs. Claus. And when we see them, they're going through an ordeal because the current Santa is slowly losing his magic as he prepares to retire. So it's quite a depressing Christmas film in that respect, but Kelsey Grammer makes it very entertaining. It has a 4.9 out of 10 rating on IMDb, which I'd say is not fair. I think that's a bit too low, but certainly I wouldn't rate this more than 6 out of 10. It didn't deliver what I'd hoped for. It wasn't as funny as what I hoped for. But I did like the development. The pacing of it was good. After the first kind of 20 minutes, the first 20 minutes or so went really slowly. It really did drag, but stick with it. Kelsey Grammer is obviously brilliant in this. I mean, he's brilliant in everything. I'm perfectly willing to admit that had Nick not been played by Kelsey Grammer, if he'd been played by an actor I'd never heard of, one with whom I had no existing connection, then I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it even as much as I did, because for me, the thing that I liked was Kelsey Grammer. Apologise if you can hear those bells in the background. The cat has just timely got out one of her jingly toys from her toy box. The film was good. I enjoyed watching it. Would I watch it again? I might watch some clips on YouTube if I want a Kelsey Grammer fix. But the film as a whole, I can't see myself watching it again.